Welcome to the commentary booth where we watch and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by an aircon estimator who lists their favourite movie as A Nightmare on Elm Street and favourite TV show as Golden Girls. Welcome to the show, Corrina Mabey.
Hello. I'm back. Watch out.
How's everything? Spooky season's officially over, except for our episode today.
Spooky season will never be over. I don't care how much you try to push that on me.
It's Christmas season now. Haven't you been to the shops?
Every day, spooky day. I don't want to talk about it. They had Christmas trees up like at the end of August. Because that's how we roll at Walmart.
That's how stores roll everywhere.
I mean, it's true. Like, we're going to get to almost Christmas, and they're going to have Valentine's and St. Patrick's Day crap up over here.
Yep. And then Easter stuff.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like, there is no holidays, like, waiting for holidays. It's
No.
just, we're going to smush it at you.
Yeah, I think, like, we have Christmas, and then, like, a week later, they've got hot cross buns in the stores. It's like, Jesus, come on, let's settle down. We don't need Easter food before New Year.
It's true. And the thing that sucks is, like, my birthday is right near Thanksgiving, and it always gets overlooked. And I go, but that's, like, the best holiday for us, because we get to eat the fuck out of stuff. Like, give me all the food. And they're just like, nap straight to Christmas.
Classic American thinking. More food, please.
You know. Yeah, well, whatever. I gorge myself at the end of the year, and then I'll starve myself the rest of the year. It'll be great.
Terrible. So, like I mentioned, this week we're getting in one last spooky episode for 2022 as we review Barbarian and Guillermo del Toro's new Netflix series, Cabinet of Curiosities. Kicking things off with Barbarian, 2022 horror film written and directed by Zach Krager. The movie follows a young woman who finds out her Airbnb has been basically double booked with her and another random guy. And then they both later find out that there's a dark hidden secret within the house. What did you think of this movie?
I loved this movie. It was not what I expected it to be. That the trailers weren't, like, very giving as far as the storyline is concerned. I feel like they kind of misled you on it. There wasn't really a whole lot in the trailers either. It was kind of just like snippets here and there, which was fun. Because lately all the movies have had their best bits in trailers. But yeah, I loved it. It was a fun ride. And for a newer horror movie, it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, great, like new IP as a horror movie. And like I said, yeah, I think the trailer did a good job of setting kind of a tone for what the movie is, like this dark, creepy house, but without sort of saying, it's this type of monster movie or it's this type of movie. Like, it just set a tone without telling you what the movie was, which is, I think, what a trailer should do.
True. Yes. Very true. And I like that because, yeah, lately it's been kind of a hit or miss with horror movies this year. We're not going to talk about Halloween Ends because, you know.
Yeah, I think I got shit on that one enough.
Exists. Yeah, that movie doesn't exist in my realm. So this was a nice breath of fresh air for the horror scene. It's kind of like the way that I appreciated Smile because it was kind of like an original idea. And it wasn't just rinse and repeat, which I appreciate because so many people have either just rebooted old movies because they don't have a original idea, or they've done things very similar to it. So I like the fact that this was a more of an original storyline.
Yeah, the original horror movies this year have been great. Like, what do we get? We've got Smile, Barbarian. What other ones were there this year?
I mean, Black Phone, I guess, wasn't really a horror movie, but it was still like a thriller.
Yeah. So yeah, there's been a few good ones that came out of nowhere and set a nice tone for possibly more sequels. Like I can see Smile continuing indefinitely. I think this Barbarian has potential to continue again as well.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting to see where they can take it, if they decide to take it any further, because it was a pretty decent film, and I'd like to know more about the backstory of different things and how they got to that level.
Yep. And then in terms of the cast, like there was a couple of big names. Bill Skarsgård as the man that double booked the Airbnb, and Justin Long as the owner of the house. But I think the rest of the cast is essentially relative unknowns. We had Georgina Campbell as sort of the main focus of the movie, the woman Tess, and then Richard Brake as Frank, and who's the father, and then strangely the mother, like the big monster character, was played by a man, Matthew Patrick Davis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think they probably just wanted the size difference between the characters.
Yeah, because that in the movie, it's massive, like absolutely insanely massive. I felt like I was watching. I'm gonna get nerd for a second, but it was like watching Attack on Titan in just like live action film, where like they have Titans with like little people.
Yep. Yeah.
That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Like, just, I guess it's a bit of a spoiler. I loved like the random twist that we get where it opens up with Tess and Keith sort of being really apprehensive of each other because they're in this house together without ever knowing each other beforehand, and you kind of think it might go down some sort of violent path or sexual assault type path with those two.
Yeah,
but
it kept
that's
giving
not
off really creepy
what actually
vibes.
happens.
Right. It was really strange, but I loved it. And that's what kept me like intrigued with it, was the fact that it didn't go the way that we expected it to go at all.
Yeah, like that opening, 15, 20 odd minutes where it's basically just them like being really apprehensive and cautious about each other because they're in this unknown house with this other unknown person, and it's kind of like, I'm just gonna like be really cautious. I'm not gonna drink a random drink that I haven't seen be made. I'm gonna like try and find out more info about who this person actually is. And I totally understand why they were apprehensive in that situation, but yeah, it turns out that was actually the one person that you could trust. And
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. Especially, I think it kind of touches base on the world today and how everybody needs to be like so cautious about, who they're around or who they trust and stuff like that. So she's constantly looking for like red flags necessarily. So it was really interesting to see how that actually ended up backfiring, to be so cautious on her part.
and then
You never know at that point.
what did you think of the moment where she discovers the tunnel under the house in the basement and the hidden room?
This whole time in this entire movie, I go, don't go down there. Don't do that. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, she makes
Why would
she
you
makes
do
the
that? It's all
classic
dark in there.
horror movie mistake.
Yeah, like I have a baby flashlight on my phone. It'll be fine. Not, oh, let me, get a normal lantern or something. Or better yet, let me just forget it's there and leave.
Yeah, let me just shut that door and I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to leave.
Move on. Yeah. If I'm in an Airbnb and then I go down to a basement and I find a random hole in the wall, I'm definitely not going in it. Like, absolutely not. I will march my ass right out of there and find the next hotel down.
And then, like, when she finds that, it continues that idea of, oh no, we're in some sort of rape, sexual assault, like, potential here, where she finds that room with the camera and you're like, oh no, the guy he's actually bad. Like, we need to be cautious of him even more. Nope, wasn't him. He was in the tunnel being brutally assaulted.
Yeah, it was crazy to me. It was such a shocking kind of thing because, you expect that, oh yeah, it's definitely a setup now. We all know what's going on, and it's just totally not that.
And then I think you noticed as well, the house, like the house should have been a dead giveaway that something is sus about this house.
Yeah, like the entire neighborhood is run down, but like this is the only nice looking house in the entire fucking town. And then when she goes for her like job interview, they even make Belly makes a comment like, "Oh, you're staying there? What? You should be careful or leave." And just completely over her head.
Yeah, like it's clearly like kind of the Skid Row area of Detroit where just all the homeless people go to congregate and squat in random abandoned houses. And then there's this one house that has no graffiti on it, a nice, relatively nice lawn, and it's just like the weird oasis in this suburb of just
Yeah, it's like a
trash.
version of Stepford.
And
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's crazy.
like you said, that when she goes for that interview and they mention, "Oh, why are you staying there?" It's kind of like, does everybody know like the weird story about this house? Like, does everybody in Detroit know
Yeah,
that
it's very
something
odd.
bad happened in this house and nobody else knows? Like, it never got out of Detroit.
Yeah, it's very strange that and like the fact that she doesn't even question it when clearly everybody kind of seems concerned about her staying there. She just goes, "Oh no, it's fine. It was cheap. Whatever."
Yeah, cheap Airbnb, not always the smartest choice.
Yeah, no. And what was crazy too is everyone that I talked to about this film and I told them who was in this movie, they go, "Oh, Bill Skarsgård. He Long is in it. He's got to be like the hero of the day, right?" And I'm like, "Just watch it.
Yeah, the
Just watch."
yeah big twist. Like that moment where we get the shift over to Justin's character AJ Gilbride,
Mhm.
the actor who's basically been accused of raping his co-star on a TV show that he's filming, and is then forced to like go back to the house in Detroit that
Yeah,
we
it's so
learn that he owns to like sell it to try and mount some sort of legal defense. But that guy definitely did what he was accused of, and he definitely deserved everything he gets in this movie.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I love Justin Long and he always plays, the nice guy next door or whatever. And in this movie, I absolutely hated him so much. And I was so happy when the ending happened and he got exactly what he deserved because it was a long time coming, the entire movie. I go, when is he gonna die? Please kill him now.
And he just gets worse and worse as the movie goes on as well. Like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, he's a sleaze, but okay, he might not deep down he might not be that bad. But then he's just like brushing off a phone call with his mom and just being a jerk to everyone around him, and essentially admits to his friend at the bar that yeah, he forced himself on his co-star, but it's fine. And then
Yeah.
when he goes to the house, he finally finds Tess. He basically throws her to the wolves and just is all about himself all the time. You're like, I want you to get brutally curb stomped.
Yeah, like there was a moment where I thought he had a little bit of humanity in him when he was like, "Oh, we gotta find a way to get out of here." I go, "Oh, all right, he's turning around. This is great, good for him." And then it was just like, "Oh, no, never mind. That went out the window.
Mm-hmm.
You're still an asshole."
Yep. And another like super gross and disturbing moment was when he was in the tunnels with Tess. They're in like that basically trap hole with the grate over the top. And then the mother feeds
Yeah.
him the bottle with like all the hair on the teat of the
Yeah.
bottle. It's like, oh, that's so gross.
Oh, it was between that and then when she actually tries to like attach him to her boob, I'm like, "Oh, this is nasty." Like, "Oh, please not. No, please don't do that."
I read a fun fact about that scene too when they were filming. When the bottle was handed to him the first time, there in the script there wasn't supposed to be the hair on the top of the bottle,
Oh.
but like a hair fell out of the wig of the monster character, and it was sitting on the teat. So then they filmed that shot, and then they redid it, but they stuck on extra pieces of hair to make it even more disgusting.
Oh God.
So I was like, oh yeah, well done.
It was a
You
great
definitely
add-on, like
definitely made me feel
happy mistake.
uncomfortable and gross.
Oh yeah, it was gnarly. Like ugh.
And
I didn't
then,
think that movie was going to have those kind of moments, but it did.
and when they finally sort of get out of the tunnels, they finally get out of the house, which was interesting. I never expected them to actually escape. The cops are just like,
No big deal.
you must just be on drugs.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe investigate a little bit first. Don't just be like, nah. You're in a crap part of town. You're definitely a drug addict.
Yeah, the cops are so like nonchalant about the whole damn thing, and I go, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." You know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Top-notch cops in
No big
Detroit,
deal.
apparently.
Yeah, they have bigger fish to fry. It's fine. Don't worry about the rundown areas of the world. We'll just go find other things.
And then, like, I think the last part is this movie is kind of split into. It's not like not quite thirds, but like maybe quarters, because we start off with Tess and Keith in the house at the Airbnb for that first little portion. Then we shift over to Justin Long's character AJ and him coming back to the house, and then his experiences in the house. And then we get that time shift back to like the early 80s with
Yeah.
Frank, and basically explaining what the hell is happening in this essentially sex dungeon under the house.
Yeah, and how gross of a person he is. Like, ugh.
And then,
And then it shifts
then we
forward
get that, and then
to
we go back,
present time.
shifts back to present as they're trying to wrap it all up. But that flashback to the 80s, like, oh my God, that's when it gets like really intense. You're like, yeah, this whole situation is very, very messed up.
Yeah, it was a very like sick and twisted backstory, and then you know, if they hadn't added that in, you would have just thought the creature was this horrible person or thing. But in reality, I almost kind of felt sad for it because no, it never asked to be put into that situation. It was born into that situation, and didn't know any better.
Yeah, I think that's what makes this movie so cool. It isn't like some weird supernatural monster. Like, they give like an explanation for why the mother is the way it is. It's basically a woman that was. This is a massive spoiler, so if you haven't watched the movie, stop now. So basically, the mother is a woman that was kidnapped by Frank, held in the little room that Tess first discovers with the bed and the camera, raped over and over again whilst being recorded. And then all of her children are then raised by Frank, and from what I could gather, the cycle continued with them as well. So then
Yeah,
it just gets
was gross.
on and on and on, and the mother... I'm not sure if the mother was the woman that was originally kidnapped, or if the mother was like one of the subsequent
Just another
children.
victim. Yeah,
Because
she's kind of like a
like,
victim at that point.
I think from what I could gather, it was probably one of multiple steps of children down, because it's deformed and like kind of the product of inbreeding and incest, I guess.
Yeah.
Which
It's really sad, but then you see
pretty gross.
a lot of emotion coming out of that character too. Like, you don't think that kind of a character would have emotion just because they've never been exposed to it, but really they do. Like, it does have a strong emotion towards
like
other
it
people.
just wants to like protect its children, I guess, and it views Tess and AJ as, or definitely Tess, maybe not so much AJ because he doesn't accept and play along with the game. And
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he died. Spoiler alert, I'm glad he died.
and in a nice like brutal fashion too, with
It was
just
beautiful.
thumbs through the eyes, like sucked in.
It was kind of like that Game of Thrones moment where Joffrey died, and I was just like, yeah, he's fucking dead. And that was that moment for me in this movie. I was like, fuck yeah, they finally got him.
And like I mentioned, like he just gets worse and worse when they finally do escape. we learn this whole backstory from the homeless man that they go and hide with, who also gets killed in a brutal way. And then they run up to the top of this water tower. And then AJ, in one last moment of I'm a douche, just pushes Tessa off the thing and just like, oh, well. Not that it helps him.
I cannot believe that. Yeah, no, I was really like, holy crap, I can't believe that he's at the end of his rope pretty much. Like, you're about to get out. Why be an asshole? But nope.
Yeah. And then that was like one little part that I think broke the immersion as well. When Tess falls off, she would already be like a third of the way down, and then the mother jumps after and somehow ends up underneath Tess, and they land, and neither of them die.
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit far back.
Even like really badly injured. Like I think Tess might have a busted ankle or something, and that's about it.
Yeah. Man, I wish I could get out of falls like that with just a messed up ankle. Crap.
But yeah, I liked seeing Tess like have that. She's torn at the end as well. Like, I know this monster has to die, but like you said, she feels sorry for it now that she knows what is going on here, and kind of kills the monster, but yeah, definitely isn't happy to do so.
And now it's kind of like a mercy killing almost, I guess, like, which is kind of sad, but at the same time, it was no life.
Totally. I think the craziest part of this movie is the budget and how much money it has already made. So I would be shocked if we don't get another Barbarian 2, whether it's like one of the other children or something, maybe in a different house. But yeah, it cost them $4.5 million to make. And so far they've made $43.4 million.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, nice 10 times return.
That's insane. And it's crazy to me to think that, because it's not a movie that a lot of people are talking about. Every time I mention it, people are like, I don't even know what that is. And I was fortunate enough to watch it on HBO. So I think that, it'll gain more popularity if people are just browsing their streaming services probably. But it's just so strange that no one really was talking about this movie at the theaters for the most part, at least not over here that I've known of.
Yeah, I heard a few people talking about it, but I think, yeah, that's the issue with all of these new horror IP that came out this year. Like, they've all been fantastic, but a lot of people aren't willing to sort of go to the cinemas on a, like, let's see this new thing and hope it's great. Like, most people with the cost of going to the cinema these days, they're like, I want to go to something I know is going to be a big blockbuster. I'm going to have a great time and get good value for money. I'm not going to go and see this new thing that might end up feeling like I wasted $20, $30.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm almost spoiled like that too. I never thought I would be like that, because I used to go to the movies all the time. I was really on point with certain movies. But now with all the different streaming services, I go, oh, well, that's coming to HBO. I don't have to watch that. Oh, that's going to be on Peacock. I don't need that either. Like, I don't have to pay for any of these. So it kind of sucks, I guess, for that stand, but at least it's still getting seen and things like that. I just don't think it's the way that they expected them to get viewed, probably.
Yeah, and I think especially over there where you guys are getting them quite quickly after their cinema runs, like, we got Barbarian late in the cinemas, like it was already on HBO for you and had only just gone to the cinemas here, so it's still going to be a little while before it hits a streaming service here in Australia. But yeah, I think once all these horror movies start hitting the streaming services, a lot more people will be like, I'm willing to check that out on a Friday or a Saturday night. Just chuck it on, see if it's any good. And then once that starts happening, I think a lot of people are going to start talking a lot about The Black Phone, Smile, Barbarian.
Yeah.
Maybe not Halloween Ends. They can toss that one away.
Yeah, Halloween Ends doesn't need to be spoken about. I'll never, yeah, no. I don't think I'll ever forgive them for that.
And then topic number 2, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, Netflix horror anthology series with 8 episodes, 2 of which were co-written by del Toro. The others are all written by various other filmmakers, which are then introduced by del Toro at the start of every episode. Premiered on Netflix October 25th. Overall, what were your thoughts on this one before we dive into sort of each episode?
I like the series. I thought it was a different kind of series, one that Netflix really hasn't taken on yet. So I appreciated that. And Del Toro is an amazing director and writer. I love him. And I really enjoyed. I knew I was hooked into this series just from the opening credit scene. When he has like the cabinet, and then it kind of like unfolds almost, like a little dollhouse or something. It was really fun. Introduction, and there were some hits and there were some misses for this show for me, but the ones that I really enjoyed, they were great. I think there might have been like only 3 episodes out of the 8 that I didn't really like, so I'll take that 5 out of 8 being great.
Yeah, I think I was the same. Like, it was super hit or miss. Like, the episodes that hit I thought were absolutely fantastic, but there were that happened way less often than I had hoped when I first sort of saw the series get announced. I think they were trying to aim for like Black Mirror levels with this show, but instead of being like modern future tech focused, they went like back in time to like gothic horror type stories. And yeah, like I said, some of them hit and were fantastic, and then for me there was a lot more that I was just like, whatever. Like, it was okay, but not great. And then there was about 3 that I was like, this is trash. Why did this make the cut?
Oh my god! I think we both hate the same 3 episodes too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because the rats episode, which I think is the episode 2, was absolutely terrible. I even told you I struggled to actually stay awake during that episode. I fell asleep twice watching it.
Which is not good on
Absolutely
episode
terrible.
2. Like, that could easily see a lot of people just drop off after 2.
Yeah, which is it's rough because there are like the episode after that was pretty good. And so it kind of sucks that it went back and forth with quality. But I guess it depends on whoever really wrote the story that it's based off of and their imagination.
And then like it closes with, I think the best episode is the last one. It's like, why is this one the last episode? Like, I can see a lot of people not making it to the best episode of the season.
I don't think the last episode's the best episode, but you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
My opinion is always right. Don't know what you're talking about.
No. I think the autopsy episode is probably the best one.
Yeah, the autopsy is a close second for me.
Nah, it's better than birds. Sorry.
So we'll break down each episode. Episode 1, Lot 36, where an ex-army vet buys a storage locker to basically sell the contents, basically like Storage Wars inspired story. And turns out that that was owned by some strange old man and has like this weird monster inside.
Yeah, like a satanic kind of moment, like where there's summoning like a demon thing.
Yep.
I liked it. It was a fun idea.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the stronger episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked the concept of it. It was fun. I feel like the guy kind of had it coming because he was such a jerk to the original owner of the storage unit.
Yeah, the guy that buys the storage unit.
It was fun. It was he was a jerk. He was such a jerk.
And I looked at the IMDb ratings for all of the episodes, and yeah, this was one of the better rated ones with a 6.7. So About,
Not too
I think
bad.
that's about right. 6.77
Yeah.
ish.
I feel
Stronger,
like it
but
was a
not the.
strong start,
Yeah. And then the next one
but yeah.
weirdly got a higher rating on IMDb. Got a 6.9, but did not like this one at all. Basically the rats and the grave robber who gets taken into the tunnels, and there's a giant rat in the tunnel. Like, what the hell is going on in here? The only positive I
Yeah, it
have
was
about this
really
episode
rough.
was the prosthetic animatronic rats. Looked great, but yeah, the story was just terrible.
Oh, it was all over the place. It was absolutely crazy, and I couldn't follow it right at first, and then I just was like, wow, this is really boring. Unfortunately, I just got really bored with it, and then I started to doze off, and I go, oh no, I'll watch it tomorrow, and then the next day came, and I go, oh god, I've got to watch the rest of this crap.
And yeah, like we said, like having that as episode 2, like I could see so many people just getting through that and being like, I don't need to watch the rest of these because the first one was second one was crap. I'm done.
Yeah. Yep,
But then,
definitely could have cut in now.
but then we get episode 3, the autopsy, which has an IMDb rating of 8. So, like, in your opinion, the strongest, highest rating of the season. And this one is basically a sheriff is investigating a dead body and a mine collapse, and then it turns out that there's this weird alien inside one of the people that is just like killing people and like being a parasite basically, and like
Taking
taking
over.
over people.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was fun. It kind of reminded me of Invasion of the Body Snatchers almost, or along those lines of that kind of moment. So I thought it was fun. I really liked how the sheriff actually had like a conversation with the parasite, and outsmarted it kind of, and it was just like it was taken back. How could you have done that to me? How could you have outsmarted me?
Yeah, I loved the way that he outsmarted it too, when it reveals that
Hmm.
they've apparently evolved to not need their own eyes and ears because they just take over a host and use their eyes and ears and organs and stuff. So just as the parasite's about to take him over, he slits his own throat, stabs out his own eyes and ears, and the
Hmm.
parasite takes over and is like, I can't see or hear anything. What the hell is going on? And then the whole time
Yeah, it was.
he's recording the interaction.
Yep. It was a rough watch, like that scene, like where he had to do all those things. It was just, oof. I could not. I had to like turn away. I go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that actually happened. But it was really well done. It definitely gave me like that ugh factor. Um, but yeah, like I said, this was one of my favorite episodes. I think it was one of the strongest ones, and it was just really fun and well done.
Yep. Especially when it was essentially for the majority of the episode, there's two people in an autopsy room. Like it's just the doctor and the parasite talking.
Hmm. Yeah, it was very like quiet and like no real background noises or anything like that. It was just him recording, and so I can that kind of gave it like even a more eerie feeling because you have like all the dead bodies on the slabs, but one randomly just is like, "Hey, how's it going?"
I thought all the bits outside the morgue were a bit weird, like with the bomb and the how we got to this point where there's all these bodies in the morgue. But yeah, once it gets into the
Yeah.
morgue and we get that back and forth between the two characters, I'm like, okay, now you get me. Now I'm sold.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I was. It took a while, but I'm glad that they executed it the way that they did. I think it ended up really working well in the favor of them.
And then we went to another episode that was a massive miss. The Outside, who is, it's basically about this girl who wants to try and fit in with all the people all the other women that she works with at the bank. So she buys this crazy skin lotion that basically gives her like this massive allergic reaction, but is actually transforming her into a more attractive, better version of herself.
Some weird thing.
This one stars Kate McCucci she's from The Big Bang Theory. That's where I've seen her before. But yeah, this one got an IMDb rating of 6.2, which from the rankings
It's too high.
is the second lowest. Wasn't even the lowest.
Oh, well, that's too high for it still, because this was terrible.
Yeah, it
This
was
was very
just
uncomfortable to watch. There was very
yeah.
awkward scenarios in it, and I just, ugh.
It was weird. I was sitting there the whole time being like, this is I think this series is losing me. Like, this is the fourth episode and only one of them has really like hit amazingly.
Yeah, and I remember messaging you, and I go, oh man, I'm about to start this episode, and we had just gotten through talking about the rats, and I was like, wow, that was really bad, and you go, oh, nope, it gets worse, trust me. And I go, wait, what? It gets worse than rats, and you go, yep. And you weren't wrong.
And sadly, this isn't in my opinion, this isn't the worst episode, and it was one of the worst.
Hmm. It was horrible. It was all over the place, and it made me itch because I've had allergic reactions before to things, and nothing in my head would have ever made me go, oh yeah, I should put more on.
I
It'll
should
do
go and
well
have a
for me.
bath in this cream that is
Yeah,
burning
I
my
should
skin.
literally soak in it. No.
Yeah,
Like, there's
ridiculous.
no idea in my mind that that's okay, but this girl is just so gung-ho to be beautiful and take care of her what she thinks are her flaws. So I get that, like everybody's a little bit vain, so it plays on that whole idea, but yep, nope, never in a million years where I'd be like itching my whole body and just be, oh yeah, let me go take a bath in that.
And the thing I thought was the weirdest, like even after the transformation, she doesn't look all that different.
No, not really.
They could have done some bigger changes to her. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, the whole basement scene is what really did it for me. I go, oh, nope, I don't know if I can even get through this episode right now.
Where
This is
the
terrible.
lotion version of herself, and they make out weirdly. What is going on in this episode?
Yeah, yeah, it was very odd, like all over the place, and I don't know what was going on in their mind when they decided to come up with this idea, but it definitely didn't translate to screen very well.
Nope. And then she stabs her husband in the forehead with like a pen or something. I was like,
Yeah, of all things.
what the? And him, the
He
dumbass,
was like super
pulls it
supportive
out.
of you, telling you didn't need to change or anything. Yeah, that too. Like you're a
Should I take it
cop,
out?
or you
Probably
should know
not.
not to do that.
You should go to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, there was no thought there at all.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I got stabbed in the head. This feels funny.
yeah,
Oh
not
no.
not a fan of that one. And then
No.
the next one, Pickman's Model, IMDb rating of 6.6, follows an art student, Will, who meets the introverted Richard, whose terrifying works of art begin to have a disturbing effect on his sense of reality. This is another one of those, like, yeah, in the middle, like, is what it is episodes for me.
I liked this episode, but I liked it because I called out who was in it, and then you didn't realize it until I called it out, so it made me happy that I recognized somebody before you did.
Yeah,
Because I go, is that Crispin Glover? And you go, I don't think it is. And then you go, never mind, it is.
yeah, like, I like this one, like, because yeah, it sort of plays on that idea of art impacting you emotionally, and I was like, yeah, okay, it was interesting, but nothing memorable, or I need to go back and rewatch it for, like, did I miss something, or was it that transformative and cool? I was like, eh.
I don't know. I think you're wonky because this is like my other favorite one probably just because he like towards the end he thinks that he actually, won against this guy and, his family is safe and then fucking mom cooks the kid.
Hmm. Yeah, that was pretty gross.
I go, "Oh, damn, she didn't waste any time. She was just like, "Yep, get in
Yeah.
the oven." Like, Hansel and Gretel that.
And then episode 6, Dreams in the Witch House, starring Rupert Grint. This is the episode that had the worst rating on IMDb, 5.8.
Really? It wasn't that bad. It was I thought it was a good storyline. Like I really enjoyed the story behind it and the premise of it. I don't think it was the worst ever, and I really am shocked that it's the lowest.
I liked this one until we got the talking rat.
Yeah, the rat. I couldn't tell if it was a rat or a monkey at first because it was very oddly shaped.
The weird little animal thing. I was like, if we had just got like the witch, I'd have been like, cool,
Hmm.
heaps better episode. But then we got the weird talking animal rat thing. I was like, well, now you've lost me.
Yeah, it was a fun episode though to watch. I didn't like want to shut it off, and it kept me really interested in it because his drive to kind of because he felt guilt for his sister's disappearance. So I liked that whole bond that they had where he felt like he was responsible for it, so he wanted to find a way to get her back.
Yeah, and then like the explanation of these 3 souls were linked, but only 2 could be alive at the same time. I like that, but yeah,
Hmm.
the weird rat monkey thing. I was like, oh god damn it, you took it too far.
I thought it was hilarious too, just because I love the Alien franchise so much, and when he like popped out of Rupert's chest, I go, "Oh my god, it's Alien!" But like way back when.
Uh,
Yeah, that made me go up and over the edge. I go, "Oh crap, yep, you just."
and then episode 7, for me, the worst episode of the series, but somehow got a 6.2.
This was the worst. This is one of the most lame episodes ever, ever,
Nothing happens until like the
and there
last
wasn't
5
anything good
minutes.
about it. Yeah, yep. But again, this is another one where I was like, "Hey, that girl was the mummy." And that was the only thing I knew about it. I go, that's the only memorable thing about this stupid episode is that there's a giant slime rock and the mummy chick is in it.
And Eric Andre and Peter Waller.
Yeah, oh, there's
I was
the
like, this one
actors,
has the
but
most stacked
I
cast,
was more.
and it is trash
Hmm.
because they don't do anything. They just
Literally,
sit around and get high and talk.
yeah. And then it reminded me of like Nickelodeon Slime Monster. It reminded me of at the very end. I go, that's what happened. That's what came out of it. And you built this whole thing up, and that.
Yep. Yeah, I was like, I'm glad this one was buried towards the end, but maybe we could have just trashed it. But I imagine with that cast, they spent a lot of money on this episode, so they had to squeeze it in.
Yeah. Oh, that was a rough watch. I'm glad I never have to watch it again. We'll put it that way.
Hmm. And closing out the season was The Murmuring, starring Andrew Lincoln and Essie Davis. Got an IMDb of 6.8, and basically follows this couple of like bird watchers, scientific researchers, and turns out that
Hmm.
their daughter has passed away, and it's like them like going to this secluded house to study the birds, and then they find out that the people that lived in this house had a similar experience to them, and yeah, that all starts to impact the wife, and she just kind of loses the plot, and it's all about mourning and grief and loss. And I was like, this is a really cool episode. I like this one, my favorite one.
Yeah. It was. It wasn't my favorite one, and to be fair, I actually just got through watching this because I almost forgot that I had to finish it, and so whoops. I kind of lost track of time. This time change, let me tell you. It had me all kinds of wonky, and I go, oh crap, I forgot to watch the rest of it. So I finished it, and It wasn't bad. It was a little bit underwhelming for me, but I really liked the backstory of it and her connection with like, seeing the spirits in the house or whatever and how it affected her mourning, which she didn't even really have, she wasn't expressing, I guess. So I think it kind of just took her out of her shell to mourn, which was nice.
Yeah, I think like it's the most like apart from the like ghostly apparitions that give you some great jump scares in this episode. It's the most like grounded one
Mhm.
and like emotional story because it's all about she's suppressing her mourning and just putting it off and off and off, and it's bubbling up and eventually explodes, and she has all these issues and almost like drives a wedge that can't be solved between her husband. But yeah, the emotion of it of
Yeah.
just like, yeah, when something bad happens, you need to grieve and mourn and go through your emotions before you can move on with your life rather than I'm just going to veer off and try and continue life as normal without going through that process.
Yeah, it was definitely it was interesting to see the progression too, that it had an effect on like the marriage and stuff, because when they're presenting and everything it looks fine, and then when they get to their research studies and stuff like that, you can see where it's really taken a toll on their relationship, where they're not even staying in the same room together anymore, and they don't want anything to do with each other after a while.
Yeah, like, I think that's why I like this one the most because it has so much depth in like the emotion and the story, but yeah, it's not necessarily like the creepiest or the scariest of the bunch.
Right, yeah. I just It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't bad. It's definitely not bottom, that's for
Mm.
sure.
So yeah, that's the two big things we checked out this week. What would be your top recommendation out of these two?
Um, I'm gonna go with Barbarian because it's not as much of a commitment. It's fun to just throw on like a Friday night when you just want to have like a movie date night or something like that. I think it's really fun to do, and it's only 2 hours of your time, versus where the series is, it's a commitment for 8 hours.
And it's super hit or miss. Like at least Barbarian, you're gonna get
Yeah, it's not constant.
Barbarian. You'll get 2 good hours. Where yeah, I think Cabinet of Curiosities, you might get 3 good hours and 5 shit hours.
Yeah, I mean, with Curiosities, the only positive is that you don't have to watch all the episodes. You can just skip over to whatever ones sound good to you, I guess. But the trailer doesn't really help that at all because you just get like a compilation of all of them
Yep.
in one. So it's kind of misleading at that point because you can't really tell what you want to watch.
Yeah. So listen to our podcast and we'll tell you the good ones and you can skip the shit ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't watch the outside
best
and
idea.
don't watch the viewing.
Yeah. Ugh.
Alrighty. Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Corrina on Instagram at Miss Corrina Renee, and you can follow me on social media at Jamie Ups Media and at Pario Magazine. The commentary booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Ups Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Ups Media. The following people supported at the publisher level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support.